Are we taking Revelation literally or not? Like, I understand symbology, right? But we don't know the essence of spiritual beings well enough to know if what Revelation is referring to is symbolic or not. We live in a very physical world right now, and especially with all our brainwashing and how we've completely tapped out of any and everything that science says isn't real. So we've kind of, not to mention the fluoride, right, which is supposed to dampen the way the pineal gland works, which is supposed to allow you to connect with the spiritual realm. Hey, could that be new agey? I don't know. I just know the things I've heard, and I put everything together, and I could see that, you know, it would behoove the enemy to disconnect us from the spiritual in whatever way he can. So if there's a physical part of our body that helps us tune into the spiritual world, well, he would want to dampen that for sure. But I don't know if he can completely. But I definitely would think he would try. We do know that the Bible says that no man is without excuse, because he has made it evident that that which is unseen is real. So we know in our innermost being that this is not just a physical evolved plane where we're just living out our days and it's meaningless and we just go back to the dust or the stars or whatever mainstream science teaches these days. Like, if your spirit buys that, then you're lying to yourself, because it's obvious. I mean, all of this was made by someone. It's just obvious, and evolution is literally statistically impossible if you look into it. It's just not possible for everything to have evolved on its own. Like the complexity of the human eye, like all the parts and the way it's connected with the brain and the way we can see. Like, there's a designer. Like, if you're buying that there's no designer and this all happened by chance, you're lying to yourself. So, back to Revelation. We don't know if it's symbolic or not. But based on what I feel in my spirit to be true, because if we were in the little season, we probably wouldn't know it. Because Satan is here to deceive. So it would probably be part of his plan to deceive us of when we are in the timeline so that we don't know what's coming next, and that will go along with the plan. So there's a very good chance that we could be in the little season. And how would we know if we're in the little season or the new heaven and the new earth? Well, we can only go based on what the Bible describes new heaven and new earth to be. And when I read it, and I like to take things literally, especially since that's been my newest take on the Bible, and it definitely resonates as true to me, because if I can't take the words for what they mean, then they could mean anything. So I'm not trying to pretend that the words used in there mean some other cryptic thing. I don't like that idea, and it does not resonate as true to me. Back when I had to read it like that, I would only be able to really understand part of it, because I'm like, well, I don't know if he really means that. But now when I read it, I'm like, okay, so even if I don't necessarily understand what that means, that's what he's saying. So if Armageddon was, spiritual beings like red dragons and everything else that it describes, and I think that's what happened. Maybe we were seeing manifestations of the spiritual realm here on our physical, our physical earth, that we're used to just seeing trees and sky and twinkles in the sky and clouds and, other people. And, we wouldn't even know if a person we saw was necessarily just a person or some kind of other line or something like that, because I've heard it said that some angels are indistinguishable from people, and if we're made in God's image, then is God kind of like us? That's the way it sounds. Is he speaking of Jesus, the physical manifestation of the Godhead? Possibly. That's kind of how it reads to me. Like I can only read what's given to me and try to understand it from what's written. So it's very possible that angels look kind of like us. Maybe there's some that are very similar. Maybe they can even change. Maybe they can even, maybe when they enter this realm, they manifest as we do. So we don't know what we're looking at half the time, is what I'm saying. So were there horses galloping through the sky, bringing plagues, and angels opening bowls of wrath and pouring out things? Yeah, I believe so. And as they poured it out, it manifested on earth in a way that we would see it as what is written, I believe. So, therefore, I don't know why he would go through the whole thing of describing things if those descriptions weren't accurate. So why, is he describing New Jerusalem just because he's lying? I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I believe if he said it, unless he's saying, here's a parable, some of you won't be able to understand it, then he is being pretty darn literal. He does use different words for things. So he could be saying dragon and could be meaning Satan, because in other places of the Bible he kind of interchanges, different ways of describing different beings. Like you have a name, but you also are a person, and you also are a daughter, and you also are a mother. Like he could say it in a different way, but if any of it's real, then it's real. It's all real. So we would have to read it pretty darn literally, unless it's obvious that it's not. And to me, it's not obvious that it's not, because if Revelation already passed, and if there's also been, documentation by Josephus that there were things going on in the skies, like armies of angels, and some of the things that are being described in Revelation as happening during Armageddon have been documented, and there's I forget what they call them, but they're drawings, basically engravings of these kind of things happening. So historically, I believe they documented it. It happened, and who knows what's at the Vatican, right? They probably got all the history books detailing everything that happened, where the lines of different people went, what exactly happened after, and what's going on. And the truth is probably hidden up over there, because we know the Catholic Church is rife with evil. So I don't really believe that it's a very godly thing. So would they hide information from the public to further their deception? Yeah, probably. So I don't believe that Christianity has fared any differently. I mean, Christianity's been taken over by deception and evil as well. I mean, just look at some of the pastors that, gosh, there's that one, like, I don't know. I grew up with my mom watching TBN and all those preachers on TV and just basically just worshiping them, pretty much. You know, saying you're worshiping God, but really, like, it gave me a bad vibe. And I was always demonized for having those feelings and not liking some of the Christian music that would be blasted and put in my face. And I'm just like, first of all, you're not living congruently with what you're representing when you do that. I mean, I get it. I mean, I don't live perfectly congruently either. So I'm not judging that. I'm just saying that it did not resonate with my spirit as godly. A lot of the music, a lot of the pastors, just the way they acted, and I just didn't buy it. So it's come out now that, you know, I can't remember his actual name, but if you just look at pictures of him, the one that has his airplane, the one that, like, it's really, he's full of rage basically when asked questions that he doesn't want to answer. I can't think of his name. I wish I could. It'll come to me later. But that was one of my mom's favorite too. She loved him. So him and Benny Hinn, and another one that, there was one that I actually kind of liked, but just because he was softer in his delivery, so I was like, okay, I can tolerate him. He had white hair and like a cute little face, and I don't remember his name, but he was tolerable. But many of them, and I can see his face, the one that I'm really specifically thinking about, but I can't think of his name. A K is coming to mind, but I can't remember his actual name. I don't think it's Kenneth, but it could be. I'll have to look it up. I'm sure one of y'all knows it. But if you just look at them and how does it resonate with your spirit, the way they talk, the way they act, just all of it. It's been taken over by Satan, okay? It's just pretty clear to me that Christianity has been taken over. So we're no different than the Catholics, except that there is a nugget of truth in Catholicism and in Christianity, and that is Jesus, right? And that's all that matters. That is our religion, is the story of Jesus, which is given through the Bible. That's really all that matters, and all this other stuff, you know, truth matters, but that's the biggest truth that matters for sure. So the only way I can know, are we in the new heaven, new earth, is if I read Revelation's description of new heaven, new earth, and go, does that sound like where we live now? No, it does not. Starting with, there was no more sea. Well, there are large swaths of sea. Based on the maps, right? I mean, and based on when I stand at the beach and look out, that looks like a sea to me. And I know other people have seen various seas in different parts of the world. So if there's no more sea in the new heaven, new earth, then we can't be in the new heaven, new earth, because there's still a sea. There's still death. As far as I'm aware, I haven't died yet, but other people around me have died, and I'm like, okay, so there's still death. Suffering, crying. I mean, even if Jesus in the new heaven, new earth, because it says that he will wipe away your tears. So I want to take that literally, because I could use some actual empathy and somebody who went through it with me, who knows what I went through, to actually be like, it's okay, you're loved. I know it was hard, you know, some of the stuff that I never heard growing up, and so now I have a hard time doing with self-talk when I go through stuff, and so then I just kind of get swept away with my emotions, and then I just feel crazy because I don't know what to do with my emotions, but I'm learning. But anyways, that's one of the promises that I look forward to, is being comforted for once. So for it to not be true would be pretty disappointing. It would be pretty disappointing to have to go to back to a non-literal interpretation of the Bible. Like, I don't even know if I would want to read it anymore if I have to go back to not knowing what I'm reading without having someone else tell me what it means, someone modern tell me what it means. I like to use the Bible to interpret the Bible, and that's what some of these new heaven, new earth people say they're doing, but it doesn't sit right with my soul to buy that we're in a new earth type scenario if he's given descriptions of the new heaven, new earth, and it does not match, not even symbolically. No more suffering means no more suffering, no more night, because Jesus is the light. So what? Do they think that the sun is God? It's Jesus himself, and we are in the new earth? Like, you really gotta like dream up some stuff to make that fit. And I'm not about that. I'm about taking the words as what they mean. I think that God would not be confusing. He would say it like he means it, except when he's using a parable to give an example, like the wheat and the tares. It's like, okay, that makes sense. You know, you're letting the evil and you're letting the good all grow up together because you're giving everybody a chance, you know. But I think there is some predestination there. I think once you start growing, like your seed was already what it's going to be, because that's kind of what the Bible seems to say, because it says in, I think, Romans, that you were predestined to be one of his. So I don't know if that means that we need to be proselytizing or not, but just in case, you know, this is my main form of it. It's like I'm helping other people who've been through trauma, because I know how hard it is. Like, we get mad at God when we've been through a lot, but like, there is a purpose, and this 80 years of suffering is a blip in eternity. So when you look at it in perspective, yeah, it doesn't always make the days all that much easier. Sometimes it does, if you can really remember and slow down and not let this life wear you ragged, and just remember when you're struggling to go to him and actually pray and like, God, help me to respond in a way that you would want me to, you know, heal this wound in me that's making me feel this way, purify my spirit so that I am a reflection of you, you know, wash me clean, let me be a good example of the kingdom and things like this. You know, it's a refining process also, this life. So we don't know the big picture. It could be that we needed to go through hell on earth in order to work on our souls, in order to, maybe he knew if we didn't struggle, then we would have got swept up in the things of the world, and we'd just be distracted, and we wouldn't have faith, we wouldn't be looking for God, we would just be wrapped up in the material, and everybody's worshiping mammon now. It's like this whole, that's how you know it's still evil here, is everybody's still working for mammon. Everything's about that mammon. Gotta get it, gotta have it. The more you have, the better you are and the happier you'll be. But yet people that have it, they act like they're happy, but they often, I mean, I know of cases where people have still offed themselves when they were, you know, they had what you would think had it all, you know. And a lot of it's programming too, right? Because what is money really going to do for you? I mean, you can use it to start a fire if you have it in cash form. But other than that, once you got your needs met and you're eating food, you have a place to stay, you're alive, you're breathing, God's keeping you alive and breathing and sustaining you, because without him, we wouldn't have any of that. Then what else, like, what else do you need the money for? Like, I guess I can think of one thing, traveling. Like, I wouldn't mind traveling, but you know, if you have to work so hard for that money that you barely have time to take off to even use it, then it's not even good anyway. So I don't know, I just mentally, I think, yeah, money would help, but would it really? I think Jesus is literally the only thing that we need. I don't know what would happen if we stopped working for Mammon, if he would just manifest money for you, or just make sure you had everything you need and you'd just be fine. It's very possible. Would you be homeless and lose your kids? Like, I don't know. Like, that's, maybe my faith's not big enough. And it would, you know, he's merciful and he's understanding and he knows where we're at and he's revealing truth to us, and we're kind of hard-headed and stubborn. I mean, we've been born in this system and we're being raised in this system where everything's very physical, and it's hard to have more than a mustard seed of faith when you really think about it, because he's not here presently with us that we can see physically and feel and like interact with him. We can through our spirit, but like I said, a lot of us are disconnected from our spiritual connection. So anyways, it doesn't resonate as truth to me. I have yet to see anyone explain how this could be the new heaven, new earth, when we see all those things still happening, but the Bible said that those would be done away with. So that does not add up. And if Jesus was telling the truth, then he most definitely already returned. He's said it many different ways, many different times to the people standing there. You know, some of you won't taste death before you see me returning with my kingdom. So unless you're going to put a whole non-literal spin on that and try to make it mean something else, like we were doing for many, many years in Christianity, then it means what it said, and he already came back. He already came back. He reigned for 1,000 years. Where did he go after the 1,000 years? Well, I mean, it'd be easy to hide a landmass from these modern day people who don't have their own airplanes and aren't even, if they did, they're not even allowed to go certain places. You got to follow all the rules on where to go, how to fly, which way to go. Like, you can't just go freely explore anywhere you want to. So could they be hiding a whole landmass where the Camp of the Saints is? Well, it appears to be so, because it's on the maps. Before, I believed it, and I didn't even know what was on the maps. Now that we found historical evidence that there's actually a place they call Camp of the Saints, Land of Jesus, on the maps, it's like, oh, well, so now there's like no doubt. So yeah, I don't know what the new heaven, new earth people would have to say about that. Would that be the New Jerusalem for them? Maybe, I don't know. And I don't know enough about the New Jerusalem to know whether or not it's already down. I believe not. I think it comes down like after judgment, and then it's like there's the new place where we all get to be with God, like for eternity. So, and that sounds pretty nice. And who knows what we'll do for eternity? I have no idea. That's a crazy. My brain does not process eternity. I don't think our minds are made to be able to understand that, because we're in this finite realm. I mean, I get it. It goes forever and ever and ever and ever, but what are we going to do? I guess, I mean, it's going to be awesome, right? If he made this world and we find things to do and keep busy, I mean, during the millennial reign, they had plenty of stuff to do. They have, you know, infinite resources and connection with God. So, you know, I don't think we'll ever be bored, that's for sure. But, you know, I'm looking forward to it because, like I said, I want to be with Jesus because I like his nature. His nature is, I just love the way he responds to people, to the hypocrites, to those who are trying to point fingers and say, look at them, you know, they're not doing good. What are you going to do about that? And he's like, well, whichever one of you is without sin, cast the first stone. It's like, bam. I love it. I love it. The most exciting thing in this little season is the fact that we can go around and see what I believe is evidence of his reign on earth. The railroads, like, I haven't figured it out completely yet, because whenever I look at the railroad, the actual metal, there seems to be dates on there. So I don't know, but, like, you know, we don't know what we're looking at there, right? They could have added a number after the fact, which would seem like a lot of work, but, you know, everything they did was a lot of work, but Satan had a lot of people helping him do these things. So it could be done to erase the dating and everything like that. But I love these buildings and stuff. So it's my self date right now, and I get to go drive through the country and explore, and that's literally my favorite thing to do. And so that's what I'm doing today. I've got several hours to do whatever I want, and it's hard to not have guilt because, you know, I mean, I could be doing something with my family right now, but then if I do that and I go, okay, I'm not gonna go do something by myself, then the week starts and I'm like, oh my gosh, I really need a break. I'm like, why didn't you take a break? You had a chance. So I make myself do it because I need this, like, reset time, and there's no way for me to reset when I'm around people. I just can't do it. I just can't. Like, maybe it's the people pleaser in me, which I'm working on, but, like, I'm always, like, you know, managing other people's emotions, and I'm an empath too, so I feel everybody's emotions, and it's just so much. But once I get out on my own, you know, unless I'm in a total spiral meltdown, I'm calm. I'm at peace. All is good with the world. It's when you throw in other people, people are like my biggest trigger, and that's unfortunate because they didn't used to be. I used to look forward to spending time with people, and I would be excited to see people, and, like, just be excited to know certain people and to spend time with them. And I just don't, that part of me, like, got abused, and now, like, I just prefer to be alone. I mean, I do. I don't like that I do, but I do. I'm able to regulate my own emotions when I'm by myself, but when there's other people and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I can't, like, just give myself exactly what I need, then I struggle. So I am working on that. I'm sure it has to do with an attachment issue. Like, I didn't attach to any caregiver or any person ever because no one was safe. And so I learned that repeatedly. And then afterwards, when I tried to attach to people, well, you know, I mean, no one wants to be your mom or your dad once you're grown. So yeah, but on another note, it's interesting because before, whenever we were talking about the dating and stuff, like the Martin Liedtke talks about the I and the J before the dates, that it might not be a 1, it might actually be an I or a J. I was like, I mean, I don't know why it would be I. But then when I saw on those maps that it's called Terra de Iesso and Terra de Jesso, or land of Jesus, well, then that just makes me think that this whole information push of Jesus not being the correct name, and that it's, I don't know, whatever it is that they say it is, well, that was probably misinformation so that we wouldn't believe some things. So like the I and the J before the dates now kind of makes sense, because it would make sense that they would record the 1,000 years during the reign, because it's coming to an end in 1,000 years, you know, unless you're a full preterist and you believe that the 1,000 years was like, what do they believe, like 7 years or 7 days, or I don't know what they believe. But I have a real problem with calling 1,000 years something that it's not, when it was very clear, and he could have said some unknown time or something representative of 1,000, or just say what you mean. Like, why would it have to be so difficult to understand? Like, why do that? I don't personally understand somebody trying to read the Bible and get truth. Why would you confound it like that? It just would. I just personally don't see that as being the character of God, so I have a real hard time with that. But anyways, it makes sense to me, and it all kind of lines up. And then with the Statue of Liberty being released when, you know, being whatever, put up whenever it was, and with the chain, and with it being a he, she, and with it being what looks like other images of the enemy, Satan. And when you tie it all together with the fittest flat earther stuff, and like all his stuff with Elvis and Trump, and it's just kind of like everything ties together. Could I be delusional? Maybe, but my mind is all about making connections. And if it doesn't fit, then I put it in the back of my mind somewhere and I go, well, that doesn't quite fit. But when it does fit, I go, but wait, I heard about this, and then the I and the J and the Statue of Liberty. So we're in Satan's little season. It's pretty clear. I'm waiting for New Heaven, New Earth people to, like, I gave Shelly a comment because she wanted to know who left a comment about a question, and she can't remember what it was. And I'm like, maybe it was mine. Can you answer this for me? And so maybe one of these days she'll release a video. I haven't watched all her videos, her late ones, because I get tired of listening to it, because it's like, I can't wrap my mind around taking the Bible not literally anymore. Like, it was such a relief to be able to go, oh, it means what it says, and it says what it means. And that's what I think God would do. So any other interpretation, I'm kind of like, I don't know about that. Now, could 1,000 years, could it be our 1,000 years? Or could it be like some other times 1,000 years? It could be. Like, the lunar cycle is 13 months, and our year is a little different now. It's like a solar year, and it doesn't make sense, and that's why we need a leap year. So they've confused so many things. And all along, I was always like, well, that's weird. Why do we need a leap year with an extra day? And like, I still need to look into that. But I think it all ties in to the lie, the season of deception. And the time zones was another thing that I always kept in the back of my head. Like, something's wrong with that. There's just, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that we have to set the clocks back. Like, what is going on? And I still don't fully understand, but it does make a lot more sense if they're hiding land. And it does make more sense that they would just want to confuse our natural cycles so that we don't know what's going on and we can't interpret things correctly. So, I mean, it wouldn't be that far off from 1,000 years from our perspective, I would imagine. It might be a little more, a little less, I don't know. But if he said 1,000 years, then I'm thinking it's 1,000 years. But it could be a little more, a little less. But I definitely don't think it's like 40 years or some other number, or he would have just said 40 years, or he would have just said the amount of time that the Israelites were lost in. Like, he would be clearer, or he would at least give a hint that he is speaking symbolically or metaphorically, and so to make you go, oh wait, so he. And I've read the whole Bible. I haven't read the whole Bible since I stumbled upon Little Seasons. So I still need to do that, because, you know, it's hard to read through the whole Bible in enough time to be able to put it all together and go, you know, light bulbs, light bulbs, light bulbs. because it would probably take me 2 years to read through it again, like it took last time. Just reading a few chapters a day from the Old and New Testament. So I don't even know that I would get new stuff from it for sure, but I don't think I would get a radical shift and like all of a sudden be like, yeah, the 1,000 years is actually 40 because of Daniel. And I started reading Daniel again, and I've been reading Revelation, but I feel like you do have to take the whole Bible as a whole. And it bothers me when people are like, oh, he's not a merciful God because he destroyed all these people and this and that. It's like, if you don't understand why he did that because you didn't actually read the story, then yeah, you could think that. But it's very clear when you're reading the story, when you know what they were doing, and when you know how many like warnings they got, and how hard God tried to get them to wake up and like stop doing that to your babies. Like, go read the story. I'd probably wipe those people out too. Like, what in the world? Are you insane? It'd be one thing to do that to an adult. Like, I could, maybe let that go. Maybe, but not even really, because that was once a baby too. In fact, I've shifted my mindset, and I see everybody as a baby now. Like, because everybody was a baby, and I'm a baby mentally sometimes, actually, emotionally, because I got emotionally stunted. And so I can see that in other people too. This has been a hard life for a lot of people in the little season, and I'm still trying to connect the dots with the programs that they've used to do mind control, with the military, with all the different churches and all the abuse that's occurred in those. Like, I really think that they have been damaging people right at their core, because that's what evil is about. It's about going after the littles, the innocent, the ones who you got to get them when they're young, and that's what they do. Because if you get them when they're an adult, they can kind of recover, or they can kind of like handle it. But when you're young, you can't handle it, and so you got to dissociate or block off parts of your mind, and then they can use that injury, that trauma, to implant things and to create sleepers, like people who don't even know that they've been programmed to play a particular part. And I think that that's been the main goal of it, not just to completely deceive people on a mass scale, but to actually create an army for the enemy. And I think that that's what the main goal has been. And maybe it doesn't always work, because Jesus can wipe away anything, but there was definitely something off, like with my own parents and with their parents, and I'm just been trying to watch the progression, how that goes, and how trauma passes, and some serious bad stuff has been going on with our generations, and we are severely traumatized, if not directly, indirectly, through our parents. And usually when your parents are traumatized and they're raising you, it's hard to not be triggered and take your trauma out, like, on your kids, inadvertently, like, of course not purposely, but like, I don't think anybody would want to purposely. But you can just see when you watch people with their kids, the way they talk to their kids, you can just tell that's the way their parents talk to them. It's obvious, because I've caught myself doing it before, and I'm like, gosh, can you not be so harsh? Like, why don't you be gentle and soft? Like, I know you're triggered. I know that's a trigger for you. I know you're overwhelmed, but woo, you gotta not take that on and become that. So there's something to that, and it's probably spiritual. It's probably a curse. I've tried to break curses and bind spirits, throw out strongmen, throw out demons, throw out like any Jezebel spirits that are trying to be like, on me, or Ahab, like, because that's like literally what they're using to destroy families as well. So, I mean, it's multifold. It's definitely like black magic type stuff that's affecting our current generation. And you can see the effects in your own parents and in your grandparents. And it's just been passing down. And I think there was a literal, actual program going on. And I think that that's really the ultimate goal, was to create an army. And it's probably an army for this next event that's coming up, which is to go up against the Camp of the Saints. So, you know, the mind control, the alien narrative, the just all the wars that they have us participating in, and like our hearts in it, right? Like people want to protect Israel, and it's probably not even like the real Israel, like, and we send so much money over there, but yet over here we have all these homeless. Like, none of it makes sense. What is going on? Like, take care of our own first, and we got a little extra, and you want to send it somewhere? Okay, great, but we're not doing good over here. So why are we worried about Russia and Ukraine and Israel, anyone else? Like, America needs to take care of itself, and then, you know, maybe some of the leftover we can assist some other countries. So those are basically my thoughts on everything up to this point. I think I mentioned everything that I wanted to, but that's about all I got.